Welcome everyone to day 2 of our reading through Power Thoughts by Joyce, Meyer. Now we move on to rule number 1. Maintain the right attitude when the going gets rough. Maintain the right attitude when the going gets rough. No matter what happens to you, determined to go through it with the right attitude. In fact, determine beforehand that you will keep a positive attitude in the midst of every negative situation that presents itself to you. If you make this decision and meditate on it during a good time in your life, then when difficulty arises, you will already be prepared to maintain a good attitude. For example, if an unexpected bill or a major repair presents itself to you, make up your mind that you will not complain, because you have to tighten your belt financially for a few months to make up for it. Instead, look at the challenge as an adventure and decide you will find creative ways to cut costs for a while and look for ways to enjoy life without spending money. I have witnessed over and over how God helps people who keep a good attitude in challenging times. I recently heard of a couple who were struggling financially but were also determined to keep a good, positive, and thankful attitude. The man, who we'll call John, worked in a restaurant, and one day a customer had a heart attack while eating lunch there. John had some medical training for being in the armed forces and was able to administer CPR to keep the man breathing and his heart beating until the paramedics arrived. As it turned out, the man whose life was saved happened to be very wealthy, and in appreciation, he gave John a check of $5,000 as a way of saying, "Thank you for saving my life." The good attitude of the couple maintained in their financial struggle opened the door for God to work miraculously in their lives. Throughout history, we have examples of people who have maintained good attitudes in the face of difficult times and thereby turned problems into opportunities. Specifically, I think of various individuals who were imprisoned and composed some of the most influential writings the world has ever known, such as Letters from Birmingham's Jail by Martin Luther King Jr., Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan, Walter Raleigh's The History of the World. While the famous composer Ludwig van Beethoven was not literally imprisoned, he was almost totally deaf and suffered great sorrow during a period of his life. And that was when he wrote his greatest symphonies. No doubt, these people could have had terrible attitudes as they faced trouble, but they made a decision and maintained the best of attitudes through the worst of times and made contributions that are still read and heard in the world today. I don't think they were simply born as positive people. I believe they had to make a choice and decided to make one that would benefit themselves as well as the world. One of the worst mistakes we can make in our thinking is to believe that we are just not like those positive people. and we can't help it. If you think you can't do anything about your thinking and attitude, then you are defeated before you even begin to try. No matter what difficulty you encounter, maintaining the right attitude will be much easier than regaining the right attitude. So, as soon as you sense your attitude losing altitude, make an adjustment. Remember to resist the devil on his onset. See 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8 to 9. It reads, "Stay alert. Watch out for your great enemy, the devil. He prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Stand firm against him and be strong in your faith. Remember that your Christian brothers and sisters all around the world are going through the same kind of suffering you are." In other words, as soon as the enemy sends negative thoughts into your mind, stop them. Determine that you will not agree with them and decide that you will not listen to his voice anymore. Discipline yourself to stand strong with your positive attitude in every circumstance. Misery will always be an option. You can always choose to be unhappy and pessimistic, but you can also choose to be optimistic and happy. Think about it. How can you begin to maintain attitude adjustments now to help you maintain a good attitude the next time you find yourself up against a challenge? It may be as easy as saying, "I realize that my life is not perfect, but with God's help, I am going to be stable even during the storms of life." Rule number 2. Realize the rough times won't last forever. I have heard many people who live in parts of the world where there are 4 distinct seasons talk about how much they enjoy winter, spring, summer, and fall. They like the variety and the unique beauty and qualities and opportunities of each season. The Bible tells us God himself changes times and season. According to Daniel chapter 2 verse 21, it reads, "And it changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings and raises up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding." Seasons change. This is true in the natural world, and it is true in regard to those seasons of our lives. It means that difficult times do not last forever. We may have off days, tough weeks, bad months, and even a year that seems to have more than its share of troubles. But every negative experience does come to an end. Some of the trying situations we find ourselves in seems to go on far too long. When this happens, we are usually tempted to complain and to become discouraged. Instead, we need to promptly adjust our attitudes and ask God to teach us something valuable as we press through the situation at hand. According to James chapter 1, verse 2 to 3, which says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of our faith worketh patience." God uses trials and pressures to produce good results in our lives. He always wants to bless us. Sometimes his blessings come through unexpected circumstances we may view as negative. But if we will keep positive attitude in the midst of those situations, we'll experience the positive results God desires to give us. If you're going through a difficult time right now, let me remind you that this is probably isn't the first challenge you have ever faced. You survived the last one and probably learned some valuable lessons through it, and you will survive this one too. Your trials are temporary. They won't last forever. Better days are on their way. Just keep your attitude up instead of down, and remember that this is just a season and it will pass. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow for day 3.